Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Bad Collection podcast. I have my own little guest in the intro here. So this is Deuce. Mila's getting a little bit jealous back there, but we'll have her in the next intro. My lovely guest today is my friend Allie Hail. Excuse you. And we talk a lot about stuff going on during the pandemic, our careers, so on and so forth. You just get a little sneak peek into her life, as you have with many other amazing guests I've had on here. So before we start it, like to say I am so sorry for the delay in a new episode and new episodes in general. I have been doing so many auditions, so many projects, and I am also happy to announce that I am making my big move to Georgia in November. I'm gonna miss my babies. Mwah. But much love, you guys. But yeah, thank you guys again for continuously supporting me and showing me so much love throughout this journey with my podcast and my acting and directing career. It just really, truly means a lot to me. I am also currently in a contest for the new face of horror. I will put the link in the bio of this video and or the comments of this video, but it is on all of my social media platforms, my Instagram, my Facebook. I have to add it to my Twitter, but those are also linked on my page here on YouTube. So please go ahead and share, tag your friends and family. It's an incredible opportunity with many doors that could be opened, and the horror genre has forever been in my life and will continue to be in my life. Very passionate about what I do, and I love what I do, and the horror genre just goes along with it. So thank you guys again. Enjoy the episode. Hey girl, hi.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm good.
Good. How have you been doing? I know you went home for a little bit. So what have you, besides classes, of course, like how did those go? Like what have you been doing since spring break and quarantine?
Well, my classes went good. Haven't checked for my last grade, so we'll see about that one. Keep forgetting to look at that.
They are up. I will tell you they are up.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go look after this. I'm gonna look now. I can see that ending in tears.
I think you'll be fine. Yeah, like what have you been up to, pretty much?
Mostly editing my resumes, submitting to people. I filmed an audition today, but nothing too crazy. I've been looking for possible agents and stuff, so a lot of work on the acting, a lot of that 70s show.
Love that. That 70s show's great.
I love
it. You had any mixed emotions about anything? Have you been kind of like, I'm okay with this? Have you had ups and downs? Because I know I went through anger, sadness, acceptance, and now I feel like personally I'm in a good place considering everything.
I would say it's all been pretty good for me, but I took a semester off before I went to school, and so basically all I did was like sit at home, go to work, and audition. So it kind of mimicked that for me. So I was pretty comfortable with the transition. Wasn't too upset about graduation or anything. I'm hoping to still do final reel. That was a big one for me, but honestly, it's not been too bad for me.
That's good. Well, I'm glad that you're doing well. You've been on a couple different sets now before you came to NYCDA. So you've worked on Shameless, House of Cards, correct?
Yes.
House of Cards. You did a film called Yes, God, Yes, which went to a film festival in Louisville, where you're from. So can you talk a little bit about those sets and kind of what you went through?
Yeah, so with Shameless, that was one of my earlier projects. I worked that before the other two, and that was when I was still getting most of my casting calls on Facebook, and I found their group there, and I applied, and then I got an email that went out to 11 girls that were on their list, just asking for bikini pics because we were going to be in bathing suits and they wanted to see like if you had like a lot of tattoos, things like that. They picked 4 of us. We thought it was for a photo double until we got there. And the girl that showed up at the same time as me looked just like me. And
Oh.
could have been up for the same part. But we got there. We did all of our wardrobe when we went to the general like meet and greet where we didn't know if we had the part yet or not. Then we sat down with I think he was a producer, and he was like, "You all are gonna play Carl's Hotties. It's gonna be all 4 of you." And he asked like if we were 18, if we had tattoos, if we did, if the artist was gonna clear them. I don't have tattoos. Didn't apply to me. um, and then so I did that, and that was an 8-hour turnaround for me to get the email to come up there and then be there. And then 2 days later, I went back, stayed with a friend, and we shot for about a week. Honestly, it was one of my favorite sets that I've been on. All of the cast was so nice. William H. Macy even apologized that we stayed there later than him, which was crazy. And like we didn't care. We were like, no, we're here. This is fine.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy.
Really the friendliest actor I've met so far. I mean, he was so genuinely nice. Um, for House of Cards, that was an odd one. So that was when I was at school in DC, and I took time off and I just went and did it. It was also a background role. So my Shameless was featured. This was just background that ended up getting bumped to a feature. But that one was an odd one. When they halted production on that set, that was the day that we were there, that came out. We were on the bus back to base camp, and there was a thing that went up on BuzzFeed that the entire set had been halted. But we were there. But that was really cool to get to see Robin Wright kind of work because that was who our scene was with. And for me, that was like a dream come true. I loved The Princess Bride, and there she was. And I was like, that's the Princess Bride. I got to shake her hand, and I was just like, the Princess Bride.
Yeah, that's cool.
But that was a fun set with a different group of people that I'm used to working with because I've worked a lot of sets in Kentucky, and it's a lot of the same kids. I see them every time we go on set. And then Yes God Yes was also really an interesting one too. I went as just background. It was an indie film I'd found on Facebook. I actually found all 3 of these on Facebook. And it was definitely a little weird at first. It was like the address was at this middle of nowhere camp in Georgia. So as I'm driving up, I'm like, I thought I had been duped. I was the first person there because I'm so early always because I freak out about it. And I was like, this is no bueno. And then like I get there, we're all eating breakfast, and they bring the cast in. And I'm like looking at the star, I'm like, she looks really familiar. She didn't have any makeup or anything. And then it dawns on me that it's Natalia Dyer, and I've been staring at her for like 2 minutes, just like, and I was like, oh, I've been staring too long. But I had a lot of fun on that set. I got to watch its New York premiere while it filmed up, because they played it up here at Rooftop Films. And I got to see the director there, and she remembered me, and it was like really great to see her. That was a really fun experience. I'm still in contact with a lot of the people I met on that set. They were all so friendly. We were all really close. There wasn't a lot of us. They had a lot of no-shows.
Interesting.
But that one was a really cool set to be on because I didn't really know anything about it, and it had been a short film before. So there was already kind of like this plot line going on, and the director knew Natalia really well. So it was really just cool to see them work together where they had worked together before. And then I did a movie, Body Swap, and that was my first speaking role. And that one is the one I saw mobile. But that was really fun to get to do my first speaking role there. And I was actually on set with a girl I had known from high school who also does acting. And I got to go to the premiere at the Louisville Film Festival, Louisville International Film Festival, where we won Best Comedy Feature.
Nice. Love it.
That was very interesting. It was not a union job. I got paid $27 to do it, and I loved it. I would have done it for free.
Yeah, see, well, and we've talked about this a little bit because I did my first feature film last July, and um, just I don't know. I mean, I would have done it for free regardless, and I did do it for free. And the nice thing about it was that I was doing background, so I was acting, but then I was also production assistant working right next to the director. The director was from Pittsburgh, so like I related with him with that because he's from my hometown. And so I got to do a lot more than a lot of other people could say on a lot of sets. So I got the experience, which is nice because I want to be able to do everything myself. Like I want to write, I want to produce, I want to direct, I want to act, I want to do it all. So I feel like it could be a lot of work and it could be very stressful, but when you have small things like that and you get to do a lot of different things, it's so nice.
Yeah, and those small sets are great for it. They're always looking to have extra help a lot of times. And,
Mhm.
if you're on set and you have a part and then they're like asking for it, like volunteering is always great to get to see that other side of it, especially on those small projects where you're going to be really hands on and you're going to do a lot of the jobs. Where when you're on those bigger sets, your job's a lot more specialized. So I think that's always fun to get that opportunity because you learn so much more being on the opposite side of it too. I learned how to place background and one on body swap, and that was so fun because I'd done background for so long, and I had this opportunity to place them and see like what went into that, and like how like who needs to cross when, who needs to stand where based on what they're wearing, and that was so fun to learn.
Yeah. Well, because, and of course, like at NYCDA, we learn a lot about marks and cameras, and we're very hands on, which I appreciate a lot because, again, like I've said, I want to be able to do it all. So the more hands on we are with the equipment and everything, the easier it can become for someone like me or anybody like who wants to do the same thing. So I think it's very important to learn that even before you go out on a set, which I'm sure you would agree with, because a lot of times you don't want to go into a set blind because people don't have time to deal with that kind of stuff. Like you have to know your stuff.
Yeah.
So
I started on Lifetime movies working background, which was awesome. A lot of the people there had worked on the sets before. And, it was about listening to them, hearing what they had to say, taking advice from them. A lot of the casting calls I've found is stuff I've learned from people I've been on set with. And, you know, you learn a lot more being there. So what I like about our school is that we get exposed to a lot of the terms that are used on set, but when you get there, it sinks in. And so I didn't go to school before I learned them. And after the first day, you walk away knowing it because you have to pay so much attention if you have no idea what's going on.
right, exactly.
And there's
Exactly.
a practical experience to make everything set in and understand it all.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Right. So, I mean, what's kind of your next step? Are you I mean, I know we kind of talked about this a little bit. So, you're obviously going to be staying in New York, but do you how long do you plan on staying in New York? Do you ever plan to move to like Georgia or California in the future?
I'll probably go to LA at some point, mostly because I really like to surf and I want to live on the beach and surf every day. The first thing I do when I get there, I'm gonna buy a Jeep, I'm gonna buy a surfboard, and I'm gonna hire a surf instructor
There you
because
go.
that would be getting up at 5 in the morning for. But yeah, I plan on being in New York for a couple of years. I would like to have a more built up resume before I get out there. I have some friends out there, and they didn't go until they had a little bit more on their resume, and so I'd like to go kind of with a little more to back me up when I'm looking for agents, managers, casting calls, so that I don't seem like one in a million. Um, but we get there and we get there.
Right.
uh,
I think I might also like look deeper into Atlanta and just like Georgia itself, because they get so much down there and they get a lot of good work. And so I feel like that's a really good starting point, a good starting place for myself, and juggling it back and forth. So
It's a plethora of jobs happening down there all year round.
I keep hearing Insatiable was canceled, and I think it was announced that it was, which I'm so sad about, because that was genuinely so entertaining, and I wish I could have been on that show, because who doesn't love Debbie Ryan? Don't tell me you don't love Debbie Ryan. Like, come on. And then Dallas, oh my gosh, why can't I remember his name right now? His first name's Dallas. I don't understand why I can't remember the rest of his name. Dallas, I think it's Dallas Roberts. And he's so funny and just so charismatic, and I love his personality in the show. So like I would have loved to work with him. And they left with a cliffhanger in season 2. Like, you can't cancel a show and leave with a cliffhanger. Are you serious? So hopefully eventually they bring it back. But I don't know if they canceled it before COVID or because of COVID. I probably have to research more, but hopefully it was just because of COVID, because I would want to be on that show. Are there any projects that are happening right now that you're looking into a lot that you eventually might want to be like submitting for?
Yeah, for me, Outer Banks is the big one. Watching the show, I know it sounds so cliche. I want to be on Outer Banks.
See, and I think I have told you this, but like I haven't seen it yet, and like I know you have for sure, but like I know Laura has, and like a couple other people have told me to watch it. And even Kelly Lentz, she told me that I should watch it too. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I must have to, if like 10,000 different people are telling me to watch it. But like I don't know, I get weird sometimes, because if it's talked about too much, like I just feel the need to not watch it yet for some reason. So I keep like pushing it off, and I think it's really just me making an excuse, because I just love Vampire Diaries and I'm rewatching it for the millionth time. So I don't I don't know, but I'm definitely gonna have to jump on and watch that eventually, because I've heard nothing but good about it.
Yeah, and I really think the project is really interesting, because you're getting a teen drama that's got a lot more meat to it, a lot more going on than who's kissing who. And I think that that's the way that the teen drama industry is moving into. And I think that it's really cool to see them do it in kind of a whole new light, where they're not in high school or at the beach and things like that. But one of the reasons I was really interested in it is because I felt like it fit my personal acting aesthetic. So I'm looking into how to submit to it and things like that. So hopefully that can pan out, but you never know.
I don't think we've talked too much about this, but like, do you have have you written stuff? Do you want to write stuff? Have you had any ideas conjure up throughout this at all?
Well, before quarantine and everything started happening, I had started writing my own web series and filming it. And I when I get my whole thing written out, I'm going to write more of a full length series with it and hope to pitch it. Hopefully, start to pitch it to networks and go from there.
Well, I had the privilege to work on it, which was exciting, and I loved it. Yeah, that day was rough, because you have such a tiny apartment, and we're like moving every 5 seconds to like light and make sure everyone's quiet and such. So, but it was still a fun experience. And it honestly, again, that's something, if you told me like it's going to get picked up for something somewhere, that also wouldn't shock me, because it's not particularly like every other teen story, or it has its differences from other things. So, and I thought it was unique and cool. So if it gets up, and I'm gonna audition.
It was definitely my passion project.
Oh, and then of course we did the interviews and sent those to you. Well, at least I did. I don't know about the rest of the cast. I'm sure most of them did. But were you planning on keeping your YouTube updated and posting those, or are you holding back on posting? Because I know you did post your trailer already.
The trailer is out. The Q&A will also likely come out shortly. I've been holding off on the episodes mostly because I only have 2, and ideally it would be a week-to-week release with everyone, like with all the episodes already shot, which may require recasting just with how people have relocated, which would require a new trailer and things like that. It would be along the same lines, just featuring a new cast. A lot of people would say the same, that are still available to work. But yeah, I had a lot of my actors go home to other countries or other states. But for now, I'm holding off on the episodes. I just don't want to post 2 and then leave people on a cliffhanger or anything. But also post 2, recast the whole thing, and then have to repost the 2 again with a whole new cast with the exact same episode. So until I've made a lot of final decisions on what I'm doing with my cast, things like that, my episodes are definitely being held off. I'm also considering entering it into film festivals, and splitting 2 episodes into 3 because that's the minimum for submitting a web series. So I'm in the process of making some executive decisions before posting.
Besides like Outer Banks, have there been like any shows or movies that you've been watching or rewatching that have inspired you, or certain things on social media?
Like I said, I've been watching a lot of that 70s show, and I really love comedy. A lot of the projects I've worked on have been comedy or dramedies. And looking back, like I used to watch it for fun when I was younger, and like now that I'm looking back on it, I'm seeing a lot of how much skill that those actors had. And I mean, Mila Kunis, you're looking at her at 14, and this comedic skill she has is unreal. And our final scene for comedy, me and another kid did that 70s show as Jackie and Michael Kelso. And just to see, like, because like when I picked the scene, I was like, this looks easy, it looks fun, but it was hard. And the amount of work that she put into that, and the skill that honestly, a lot of it was that she naturally had at that age, is just unbelievable to see and watch them all do. And a lot of them have gone on to do a lot of really awesome projects.
For sure. Is there anybody in particular that you like watching more than others right now? Actress and actor?
Normally I'm big on the Saoirse Ronan. I watch all of her things. I think she's really just talented and is truly going to be one of the actors and actresses of our generation. She's going to be in that category. However, she's not had a movie since Little Women. So I haven't been watching a lot of just solely actresses or actors during quarantine. I've just been watching a lot of shows. I've watched a lot of new shows, and I've also rewatched a lot of shows that I had watched before, and gaining new appreciation for what's going on behind the camera, what skills they're using, and being able to pick that out when I'm watching shows that when I was little I would watch for fun. I've also watched a lot of Disney Channel movies just for a nice, easy breezy watch.
Well, yeah, like I kind of laugh at myself because I listen to all types of music. Like I could literally listen to Demi Lovato, then jump to Rob Zombie, and then jump to Beethoven, which is so weird. But I love all of it. So again, like me jumping to like a Rob Zombie song, and then I'm like belting This Is Me from Camp Rock is hilarious to me. Like I really did not realize how many Disney songs were embedded in my brain until I like downloaded all of them and just kept them on repeat. But how could you not love them? Like that's our generation. That's our like thing. So and now you go on TikTok and you can't tell if some of these people are making, like, reshooting them to make fun of them or to be funny to watch, like, the different things that happen now from, like, way back when. And then, oh my goodness. Oh,
I love watching the songs from all of them because I am on a complete opposite with all of them because, you know, there's so much, like, it feels weird, but a lot of them are so much younger than we are, and it was a whole different generation of Disney, and they're all ranking Descendants at the top, and I'm like, what even is this movie? I've never seen this, and then I'm looking at, like, Starstruck at the bottom, and I'm like, how dare you disrespect Starstruck? But, you know, it's a whole different generation.
right. And then, I don't know, have you seen the originals?
I've seen a couple episodes.
So, do you know Davina in the originals by chance?
I think so, yes.
Okay, so Danielle Campbell, I'm like, every time I watch her in originals, all I think about is her in Starstruck.
Yeah.
How could you not? Like, it's so weird to see how and it's a majority of them now. Like, a lot of them went from Disney, and then they're doing, like, very serious, very dark, very, like, crazy roles that you would, like, never imagine them doing. And then you hear them curse, and you're like, yes, they're adults. Like, I'm 20 and I say the F word, but whatever. But, like, hearing them say it and then thinking back to when I was, like, 8 watching, like, High School Musical, it just doesn't click.
No.
There's just, like, so many different things that you don't, like, really pinpoint or, like, pay attention to unless you, like, really think back, or, like, you're watching and then you look back at something else. I could go on and on. I got highly passionate about that conversation. I love it. Oh my
Passionate
God.
about channel originals.
So did the question get conjured back up in your brain?
Did not. I can't believe I lost it. It was like a good question too.
Can you think of what it might have been, like, about? And I can maybe help conjure it back up.
I have no idea. I feel like I'm on that 70s show when they're like in the circle and they're like all smoking and they're like these great ideas, we can never remember them after. And like I'm sober and feel like I had that moment. I have all these great ideas when other people are talking to me, and then like I have my opportunity and I lose it. Because I just watched an episode where they were like trying to find a name for Hyde's new record shop, and then they're like, we have the name, and none of them know it, and they can't figure it out.
Oh my gosh. Oh my Lord. No, I can kind of relate to that. There's times where, oh, you've seen me in class, like, first year, like, I'll have a question and then I'm like, I can't remember. And then, like, literally 30 seconds later, I'm like, I remember.
Like 3 days later, I'm like, I got the question.
I remember my question from 5 weeks ago. Well, if you can't think of any other questions, I would like to jump to what I've done with Candace and Carl. And I thought I'd throw in, like, a little twist with the NYCDA alum that do my podcast with me, and we can typecast each other.
Okay.
So because you're my guest of honor, I will let you go first.
I definitely see you in a lot of comedy roles, mostly because you're not afraid to go big, which is so important when you're doing comedy. Mm-hmm. Go too big and always reel it back in. It's harder to get there than come back from there. But I see you doing like movies along the style of comedy that Mean Girl follows, where they're a little more realistic, but you get these moments that are just like outrageous. Like her mom in Mean Girls with Amy Poehler, right? That's Amy Poehler, right? I definitely see you doing like a lot of like realistic style comedies, especially ones that are like 21 Jump Street Mean Girls, where you're getting into the teen college range. And like, while the realistic ones, I can also see you doing some of the wackier ones too that are just off the wall, because you're not celebrate, to go big, which is a good thing. I mean that in the best way.
No, I get what you're saying, because, well, and it's weird because this, like, when I had comedy and stuff and we were doing a lot over Zoom, I felt more held back than I did in person, like in class. And there were moments where that happened, but there were moments where I still went big and went for it, especially in comedy class, which is the best time to really go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say necessarily like a specific role. I mean, the way roles are being casted now are so diverse. I mean, like a look, it's hard to pin down like a lead or a supporting actress based on looks now, because especially in comedy, there is a comedy leading spot for everyone who's willing to go there with it.
Right, exactly. So, anything else that you can think of?
I can also see you playing a darker character, as interesting that is. I mean, you have the darker hair, which also helps. But I also feel like a lot of people that are into comedy play those darker roles really well. And I could see you doing it too. I think you have that side to your acting that you bring a lot of truth to with that. Like the me, whether that be like mean girls, like girls that are like the mean girl clique type style, or even like in darker films, like the more evil person that you kind of don't see coming. I think you have that side too.
There it is. I love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Allie Hail. You could definitely play a high schooler, no doubt. You could literally pass as a freshman in high school. Like 8th grade, you could have done 8th grade. No problem. No problem. And it's literally, I mean, you have that, like, okay, and we've had multiple conversations about this. Like, when somebody's crying, you try to crack the worst jokes. And I've never went through it because I don't think I've ever, like, cried around you. But we have multiple stories that you've told me. And I just feel like you could pull off that, like, awkward, like, type of gal, and you look young enough to literally pass as a middle schooler still, even though you're 21. So, like, that would be iconic, first of all, because nobody would expect you to be that expect you to be that old and playing a role like that.
Yeah.
So you can definitely pull that off. I haven't watched the whole film yet, and I need to because it's so good, but you could definitely do Lady Bird, 100%, in my POV. I know you love that film, and I'm not just saying that. Like, I really feel like if you put in the work and took the time, like, you could definitely pull off that role. I could also, like,
Oh no.
okay, so, like, if they made, like, a child Mean Girls, you would be like, it's like if they didn't put them in, like, high school and they made, like, a younger, like, Gretchen, Regina, and Karen, like, you would definitely be the younger version of Regina. Like, you know when she, like, tells the story about Janice and her pool party, and she's like, Janice, I can't invite you. Like, you would literally, like, that's the scene you would play out. Like, you'd be, like, in middle school or whatever, you'd be like, Janice, I can't invite you to my pool party. I could just see it. Because, like, you're very sweet, but, like, you also have this, like, you can be mean girl. Like, you really can. And you know it. So, like, you could pull that off. And then you could also just be, like, a demon. I don't know. Like, the spawn of Satan, literally. If you really, really went for it.
Poltergeist.
Yes.
Wait, which one did they come out of the TV in? Is it The Ring?
Oh, The Ring. Oh, no, don't do that. Literally, if I saw you walk out of a television and you were that little girl, game over. I don't know if I can come over your house without another being in the house because, girl, we don't play with her.
I played Possessed before, so.
Oh, I think we talked about that. Well, and then, oh my gosh, I just had a horror movie in my brain. Are you kidding me? No, not why did okay, The Grudge popped up, but not The Grudge. It's another horror film. You would be possessed for sure. But I'm trying. Oh, like Insidious. Like if they put a girl instead of the boy, you could pull that off. Except
Forever.
you would actually get possessed. You wouldn't be asking your dad for help. You'd be done for. 100%. That's how the movie would end. And then the sequel would be like them taking the demon out of you, and it's like an exorcism. The Exorcist.
That's what I thought you were thinking of, and then I also could not come up with the name of it.
There we go.
I was like, I think it's The Exorcist, but I like my brain was like, what is it called?
Like if they put the right makeup on you and you really went for it, you could pull off a creepy ass exorcist girl. Oh my gosh.
That's my next Halloween idea.
Oh, please do it. Please do it. I'm still debating on what I want to do for Halloween. Like I was like goofing around on TikTok one night and I found like these snippets from like the Chucky movies. And my ass was up at 12:30 at night like trying to do the makeup that he has. And like, I don't do that. Like I never do like that kind of makeup. And I was like kind of surprised at like how okay it was. A lot of people would say that looks horrible, but like I think it was relatively okay for like my first time ever doing something like that. And then I recorded like the voices, like the snippets. I might be Chucky for Halloween.
I did that, but I did a sexy Chucky. It was just creepy. I just had shorts on instead of full length overalls.
Well, this has been fun. I'm so happy that you could do this.
Yes,
Do you have any more questions that you'd like to ask or anything else you'd like to talk about?
I don't, but this has been so fun.
I know. All right. Well, I'm going to probably Snapchat you after this. So, no worries. But yeah, thank you for doing this. I will let you know when I post it. I have a ton to edit and go through, so how that goes with editing the web series that you did. So
Good luck.
I'm ready for it. All right, girly. I will talk to you later. Thank you again. And yeah, I'll Snapchat you in like 30 seconds.
Thank you.
Yep. See ya.
Bye.